plenty.
We got the Suns offseason has been perfect, but by the man Kenny. I want to see what he has to say about the Suns offseason, because in my opinion, I don't know what the hell the but is. This seems pretty solid to me. They got a new head coach. They got 2 new point guards. They got a nice backup center. So we're going to see what he's talking about. Let's get it.
Great off seasons from the OKC Thunder, who brought in Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. That team won 57 games last season. And if you ask me right now who's winning the West, I'm probably going OKC. Again, without seeing it on the court.
Yep.
You also have a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, who had all the cap space in the world and turned that into Paul George and other players that complement Joel Embiid. Or on a lesser note, the continuity of the Boston Celtics, who won a championship
or the Minnesota
and didn't
Timberwolves.
lose any players that matter. I'm sorry, O'Shea Brissett. They didn't lose any players. Like, usually you win a championship, it's like Bruce Brown's going to get $22 million for another team, and then you lost that. No, the Celtics have everybody back. And
That's
there's
true.
one team that's, given the circumstances, having such a phenomenal offseason. And that team is the Phoenix Suns. A couple days ago, they brought in Tyus Jones for a minimum. He might have been the best free agent on the market left, and we're just waiting to see what team's going to pay Tyus Jones. We have to go back to Washington. Would he go here? Would he go there? I definitely didn't see 1-year minimum contract with the Phoenix Suns happening.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's such a good part. Now, obviously, he said that he had other offers on the table. They were multi.
My opinion, Washington kind of ruined Tyus Jones' career, bro. Because when he played for Memphis, like, he was very highly regarded. He's been the leader in assist to turnover ratio the last like 5 years. Everybody's thinking that he shouldn't be a backup. He goes to Washington, and now nobody even wants him when the market hits.
Year deals, but he wanted to bet on himself to go to the 2025 free agency class, where there is more teams, more money. And he's betting on himself.
That makes
sense. I can't understate how insane of a pickup this is for this team specifically. Like, Tyus Jones is a very, very
They
good
needed a point guard.
The fact that he had a 7-2-1, no disrespect, Washington Wizards fans, I like your direction right now, but the fact that he had a 7.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio on the goddamn Wizards is insane to me.
Bro, he's been doing that for like consistently. It's not just like a 1-year thing. He is the best point guard in the league when it comes to protecting the ball and passing the ball. Like, passing the ball safely and still getting assists. He's the best point guard at it.
So imagine when he got Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
What that assist to turnover ratio gonna look like then? Like, this is such a good pickup for them, and it should, again, help his market.
And now DB could play more off ball. And this is what was the recipe of success for the Suns back in 2021 when Chris Paul was the point guard and DB's coming off, curls. Now KD's coming off curls. When they first got Chris Paul, that's what it was. But then Chris Paul got injured, and we seen what happened in the playoffs that 1 year versus the Nuggets. Devin Booker had to turn into, I'm Kobe Bryant. I'm gonna have to score every single point. It didn't work. Last year, it was the point guard experiment. Yes, Devin Booker did a great job playing point guard, but he's not point guard. He is better used as a shooting guard.
For 2025, and he is on that team. They also had other good pickups. Like, when they brought in Monte Morris, I'm like, yes, they got a point guard.
Yeah.
And now that they get Tyus Jones, who's better than Monte, it just works out great.
Exactly.
Because Frank Vogel was asking for a point guard, and they said, no. Devin Booker's our point guard. Bradley Beal's our point guard. We don't need a real point guard.
Yeah, that was stupid.
We got that.
I knew that was dumb.
Mason Plumlee, and you can argue who's better between Drew Eubanks and Mason Plumlee at this point in their careers.
I mean, I'm kind of disappointed that Drew's gone. Drew is gone, right? Because I felt like Drew was not a bad center.
Lost his spot completely out of the Clippers rotation once Daniel Tice got over there. So
yeah, that is true.
Who's better? I guess only time will tell. They also brought back Royce O'Neal on a very friendly Royce O'Neal deal.
Yeah.
I could go on and on. These are very good pickups.
Also, second year continuity for Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal.
Was a
it's gonna be good.
Apron team.
They get a new coach.
Keeping up with the CBA, I don't blame you. It's too damn convoluted. But when you're as expensive as team as the Phoenix Suns, when you got Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant all making max/supermax contracts, the NBA incorporated this thing with the new CBA that's there to take
first apron, second apron
out of these super expensive teams and prevent them from getting much better. Right?
Yep.
Second apron teams. But
somehow the damn Boston Celtics have so much money that they're able to just keep signing their players to freaking multi-$100 million extensions. How is that possible, CBA?
Offseason were the Warriors. What did they do this offseason to alleviate some of that?
Warriors got some people. Lakers didn't get nobody, but
lost Klay Thompson, and that
they did lose
some
Klay.
of the second apron stuff. The Clippers. They didn't want to give Paul George all the money he wanted. The Celtics just got like some type of voodoo with this money. Somehow everybody getting paid.
Exactly. How? Kenny? Tell me how, though. Tell me how.
Also had a really good offseason given the circumstances. How? Couldn't do much either. And the Suns turned a second apron team with not much wiggle room to this. Where I look at their potential rotation and based on what Tyus Jones said in his interview, he's going to be the starting point guard, right? So starting point guard is him. Then you got Bradley Beal, Devin Booker as these wings. Kevin Durant at the 4.
Is Bradley Beal starting, though? That's the big question, because he didn't start last year. I mean, when he was healthy, he was, right? Or is Grayson Allen going to start? Like, is the lineup going to be Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant, and then Nurkic? Or is, instead of Grayson Allen, is it going to be Bradley Beal? Or are they going to go a different route and make Devin Booker point guard and Tyus off the bench so they can start Beal and Grayson? That's going to be the question. In my opinion, it's hard to put Bradley Beal on the bench just because of his ego. I guess you would start him. Yeah, I guess I would start Bradley Beal. Bring Grayson off the bench.
That's a solid
Suns fans, what do you guys think?
They also now have Grayson Allen coming off the bench, who had such a crazy
shooting year. He thinks Grayson's coming off the bench.
I don't know if he'll be able to replicate it, but maybe he will. You also got Monte Morris off the bench.
I just think that Grayson Allen's the better fit in the starting lineup, but ego-wise and all-star-wise and what you should do is put Bradley Beal. But in my opinion, Grayson's going to stretch the floor so they can't double. Bradley Beal's not really a catch-and-shoot player, but he can. If that makes sense. He's more of a catch it, I'm going to attack and get a bucket. Catch it, let me see what's going on with the defense. Let me chill for a couple seconds. Hey, bring a screen up here. Let me come off this thing and hit a pull-up.
So Neal, Josh Okogie, Nazir Little. I don't know if Josh Okogie or Nazir Little ever going to pop, but I always feel like those guys are very close to really being impactful NBA players. They just haven't been able to do it yet. And then you got the Plumlee at the 5.
I think Royce is closer.
NBA rotation. And I didn't even talk about Ryan Dunn, who when I was doing my scouting for the NBA draft, some people said that he was one of the best defensive wing prospects in the last 20 years.
Oh, 20 years crazy.
The offense is a lot to be desired.
He shoots. It's like he shot 50%. This is just stuck in my head. Ryan Dunn shot 50% from the free throw line.
Defensive prospects in the last 20.
He made 16 threes in his life.
Look at all of that. I look at the depth chart.
That scares me.
This team, and there's still a lot to be desired somehow. And I can't figure out why, and that's why I'm talking to y'all about it. We have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, 2 of the top 10-ish players in basketball. We got Bradley Beal, who had an underwhelming season. I think we can all agree, but we know that Bradley Beal can be a really good NBA player.
Injuries.
The shooting of Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff. We got now Tyus Jones as a PG.
I don't know why.
I'm still looking at this roster like, I'm taking OKC over it. I'm taking Minnesota over it.
You want to know why? It's because they have years together. I think another downfall of the Suns, they got a new coach too. That's going to take some adjusting to get used to. They got a new coach. Timberwolves and Thunder, the reason we got them to the top is because we seen, number one, they went further than the Suns in the playoffs. But number two, I mean, they got swept by the Timberwolves. But number two, they've been together for longer than the Suns have. And they also have a younger core. So I think we're starting to see that younger teams that have some chemistry are going to be the top of the NBA now. The Suns are kind of older now. So I think that's why people are underestimating
probably
them.
Still Denver over it, even without KCP. Like, there are still teams out west.
I honestly think the Suns going to have a better year than Denver, though. But I still had Denver over them in my rankings.
More than his roster, and I can't figure out why. And I ain't even mentioned the team that was in the goddamn championship this year, the Dallas Mavericks. So I just named 4 teams that are
because the West is stacked.
Comfortable with. And again, we're in the offseason right now. Maybe Coach Bud, which is the best or the biggest offseason acquisition for them. Maybe Coach Bud gets everything going, and what I'm talking about today doesn't even matter. But I just named 4 to 5 teams that I feel more comfortable with having that deep run and winning the championship just out west. And that is not good. It's just not good. Last year, the Phoenix Suns were the 12th best defense in basketball. And that is extremely impressive. I don't know if that's like, because Coach Vogel was known as a defensive-minded coach. I don't know if that's him just really getting it going. Because I look at this roster, and it's not a ton of defenders that you really, really love. Devin Booker has showed that he can do. I mean, hell, we're watching him in the Olympics right now be one of the
when he wants to, DB could lock him down.
Don't expect him to do that every night and also give you
every possession too.
Per game. I didn't love what I saw from Bradley Beal this 1 year so far in Phoenix defensively. Yusuf Nurkic just doesn't provide the rim protection that a normal NBA team would have on that back five. And like Tyus Jones, he's a competitor. I wouldn't call him
undersized
defender, but he's not a guy that's elevated in defense. So I mentioned that starting five, and I just don't know what to really expect from that. But it's more.
Yeah, well, that's how we felt last year too.
Probably won't be as good as it was last year. This was their first year together, and I think there was a lot to be desired. Like when they ended up making the deal to put this big three together, one of my major complaints, and a lot of people's major complaints or things that they were concerned about, was there are so many overlapping skill sets where all three of those dudes are known to be bucket getters, mid-range killers. They gonna get theirs, and that's the way it is. There was a lot of overlap there.
And that's why people are worried about the Kings right now, too, with De'Aaron Fox, DeRozan, and Sabonis, and Malik Monk. It's kind of like the same situation. I think coach really matters, and I'm a Lakers fan. Yes, Frank Vogel won us a championship, but he really didn't, bro. I honestly think we won a championship. I mean, we did, but we had a team built for Frank Vogel. We had a whole bunch of defense players. The Suns did not have a Frank Vogel built team, so everything the Suns did, I think the Suns are going to surprise a lot of people this year. They could be top 3 in the West, but I think the reason they didn't have the best year last year, most consistent year, number one, they didn't have a point guard. I knew that going into the season. I said it in the offseason before the season started. They needed a point guard. They didn't get one. Okay. Number two, they had Frank Vogel coaching a whole bunch of superstars again that are offensive superstars. I knew that wasn't going to work. So that was the issue. Also, Bradley Beal was hurt. So I think that it's going to be a lot better this year.
That is still the case. Now, the best thing about bringing in the Tyus Jones and Monte Morris is that Devin Booker has become such a phenomenal playmaker throughout the course of his career.
That's true.
You're not counting on D Book to be point book, or you're not counting on Bradley Beal to be the point guard version of himself. Like he can kind of think at his normal.
Now they can play normal.
Yes, I can I can create for others, but hell, I can average
I'm gonna get mine.
28.
Yeah,
I could average 30, or I have averaged 30.
Suns could be top 3. I think they could pass the maybe top 4.
Really help things.
They could pass the Nuggets.
Initiated on the offensive side of the ball, but that big three,
I think they'll pass the Nuggets, bro.
Had a net rating together in 800 minutes of 6.7, which is pretty good. It is pretty good, but it's not as good as you want it to be. This is okay. I'm gonna try.
The team wasn't optimized, bro. It wasn't optimized.
So the net rating is actually 6.6. I think I said 6.7 before. I gave him a little bit too much credit. But in that 862 minutes they played together, the 6.6 net rating is the exact same as LeBron, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves. Again, 6.7 is a really good net rating for a 3-man lineup. But when you think about the amount of money you're spending and the lack of flexibility you really have by paying these 3 guys this amount of money, you want their net rating to be higher.
I'm going to defend the Suns real quick. It's also year 1, bro. Year 1, yes, the expectations are high, but year 1, you got to get getting used to with each other. You know, Bradley Beal played half the season.
Then LeBron James and 2 role players. You want it to be over a lineup of Paul George,
Lakers should have been better last year.
Terrence Mann. You want it to be higher than a lineup of Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, and Dante DiVincenzo. Do you see this trend here? These guys have 1 star player and 2
more chemistry together.
Net rating is the same or higher. Now,
that's the argument.
Maybe that's not the greatest argument to have, considering the best net rating of any top 3 in the NBA this season that played 800 minutes was Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson. They had some type of voodoo stuff going on.
Man, you add Hartenstein to the Thunder. This is why I put them number 1 seed, bro. He had Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson at the top. Imagine SGA and J-Dub. SGA and Chet. Oh my goodness. Thunder gonna be nice. What was it? 17.7?
It to be my big 3 is a big 3. A majority of that is that the offense together.
No, I feel
an offensive rating of 123.6, which is crazy. It is insane. That's obviously those 3 guys are bucket getters, and you have to make a decision. You can't guard all 3 at the same time. It's a defensive rating of 116.89 that is really hindering that team from.
They just needed a point guard
in the upper echelon. Again,
my opinion is not the coach. It's not the defense. It's literally they just needed a point guard, because when we were playing them multiple times during the season, I'm talking about the Lakers playing the Suns, Bro, there were times like you can't stop them because you can't double off Booker, but you have to double Booker because he's gonna score. You can't double off him because KD's gonna. But the problem was, the issue was, oh, Devin Booker's taking the ball up. This is our chance. He's away from the whole team. You know, let's press him, or let's take him out the game, make him strictly a passer, double team somebody else off the ball. But now they got a point guard, bro. It's gonna be so hard to stop the Suns, especially with one of the best assists to turnover, actually the best in the league. And they don't have to play defensive-minded basketball no more. I just don't know how Coach Bud is gonna do.
We're only talking about 800 minutes, while some of these other teams.
We'll see how Coach Bud will be.
1,000+ minutes played together. But still, maybe it is just that defensive side of the ball with those three guys on the court being that bad that's hindering me or preventing me from feeling comfortable with putting them in the top tier of Western Conference team. And there's an insane amount of pressure. Me personally, last year, I'm not even tripping about. When you think about all the roster turnaround they had going into last season, where they lost 11 players and brought in 10 new dudes.
Yeah.
Nobody should have even
and a new coach.
That team
and a new
good.
coach.
Now, I also didn't expect them to get their ass wiped like they did in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect that team.
I didn't either. Bro, the Suns were hot towards the end of the season too, bro. I don't know what happened. I thought the Suns were going to win first round. They were coming into the playoffs hot, and then I don't know what happened. That's another thing I'm worried about. I feel like these younger teams can beat up on the Suns.
To go out and win a championship year number one, I think that's unreasonable, or that's just not realistic to think that a team that was put together like that can really come in and win a championship year number one.
Yeah,
but that was year two.
Yep.
And there's a new coach and Coach Bud, who, again, who's better between Bud and Vogel? I don't really have the answers for that.
I don't either, bro.
This is the pressure season because other general managers across the association, they're on the prowl. You saw the Houston Rockets.
The Houston Rockets with KD.
They put that trade together with the Brooklyn Nets to get the Suns picks because they wanted to go out and try to get Kevin Durant. Yeah. These other teams are waiting for their opportunity.
The downfall. They're preying on the downfall.
Under pressure to win, not make it to the second round, not just have a competitive first round series. No, they are there to. It's
a failure
win.
If they don't win.
And I can't look at this roster and say that they're going to. And maybe that's my lack of trust, I would say.
But honestly, it's justified, you know. It's just because we haven't seen anything yet. I think this is just a case of we got to see it to start to believe it. But I'm honestly believing in the Suns. Like I said, I think they could be top 4 in the West. They're gonna be top 4 because my standings that I made, that was before they got Tyus Jones. That was just them getting Monte Morris. I was happy about them getting Monte Morris. I thought that was gonna help them. Now they got Tyus Jones. Top 4 in the West for the Suns. It's just gonna be tough to beat the Thunder and the Timberwolves, but I still think the Suns could do it just because the Thunder are still pretty young, and the Timberwolves, they're still young. We've seen them choke, so I don't know, man. Don't count the Suns out, but I understand what he's saying. You got to see it to believe it with the Suns at this point, because at year one, it was kind of a disappointment in the playoffs. Not kind of.
Look at the way other teams are building and the really successful teams. I just don't think Jusuf Nurkic necessarily fits.
Man, a lot of people being hard on Nurkic
for a 2024 defensive team. At the same time, I really do like their offseason, man.
Nurkic is a good offense player, but his defense.
How much they got better on paper, given the circumstances. Here are the things I'm most curious about going into the season. With Tyus Jones being the point guard, I'm assuming that means we're going to get a lot more catch and shoot opportunities for Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal early in his career came into the NBA as a shooter. And for the first years of his career,
you know what? He's right. I did say Bradley Beal wasn't a catch and shoot player, but I think my memory is just him being the guy with the ball on the Wizards. But you're right. When he did come into the league, he came into the league with Dion Waiters. He actually was just a catch and shoot player.
And then he turned into a scorer, and that kind of dropped his 3-point percentage because he was creating for himself.
Yeah, you're right.
Last year, he shot over 40% from 3. And now I'm thinking about with Tyus Jones being the point guard, how many opportunities we could see for Bradley Beal to be a spot-up shooter. Not saying that's his entire role because he's being paid $50-something million. You don't want to pay a spot-up shooter $50-something million. But
that money, bro. Money places expectations on how you should play, and it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Like, role players should be getting their money just to do role player things. But, people, especially Suns fans I've seen, were so frustrated with Bradley Beal last year because he wasn't averaging 20 a game. When I don't think that's his role, bro. He's the third star out of the two. So, therefore, he's got to be somewhat of a role player.
Like to have him be able to catch and shoot more often is pretty elite. I'm also watching Kevin Durant and
he wants to play over Grayson
Olympics and seeing how much
they got chemistry
to just.
They got chemistry.
Kevin Durant adapting is like, hey, y'all need points. I got that. But like Devin Booker adaptation is like, y'all need defense, some dirty work, hustle players. I can do that. Now you don't expect him to do that in the regular season because he's a guy that can average 28. So
DB is nice, bro.
On Team USA, he can be okay with shooting.
I'm high on Devin Booker.
And putting a lot of the energy.
I really am.
You can't do that with the Suns in the regular season. They need him to be 27, 28.
And of course, KD too.
But at the same time,
they need help.
Defensive book as well. So I don't know. I know I just rambled a bunch about it. I'm giving their offseason an A.
Yep.
I still just don't put them in the upper echelon of contenders in the Western Conference. And maybe I would probably need to see 2 really, really good months under Bud for that to change. 2? I need to see how differently they look defensively with all of those guys on the court together. I need to see how creative they can get on offense.
No, I want to see the offense.
Some of these teams get the star power and the creativity. It's just gone from the offensive side of the ball because it is easy to say, Kevin, get us a bucket, and he's one of the best bucket getters ever.
That's what Frank Vogel did.
Get a bucket.
Just get a bucket. He didn't have any offense.
It's easy to do it that way, but I like when teams can be able to bring in this talent and also have a
system around them.
Offense and kind of, I don't know, just create.
I'm hoping Coach Bud could do that.
Their offense wasn't fluid because it was. Don't get me wrong. I misspoke. It wasn't
not really, bro.
Offense.
It really wasn't.
Very creative.
Yeah. And this is the thing: is Frank Vogel, bro. When I think back of the Phoenix Suns last year, and I think of the games that stand out where, DB was dropping those 50-point games, KD is like the middle of the season towards the end a little bit. You want to know how they were scoring? Off turnovers. In transition. That is Frank Vogel's system. That's how the Lakers won the bubble. Play defense, force a turnover, score in transition. We're playing, and that's how Darvin Ham was supposed to be too. That is cool and all, but when you need a half-court bucket, and you have no half-court sets to run besides the damn Spain pick and roll, which is all the Suns ever did, bro, was the Spain pick and roll. Grayson's gonna set a screen for the roller and pop out. That's the only set they ran. I don't think that's a recipe for success, and I blame Frank Vogel for that. Now, when I think back to 2021 of the Phoenix Suns, and I just remember when they had Chris Paul and they had Devin Booker coming out screens off the block, curling up to the elbow, that was unstoppable. And I still remember the first week of Kevin Durant. They had him curling, getting right to that elbow or getting right to his hot spots. Him and Devin Booker doing it at the same time and Chris Paul just feeding them. That was unguardable. And they went away from that. And that is, number one, because of Frank Vogel. He don't have an offensive system. He's defense coach. But more importantly, number two, they didn't have a point guard. And they had to have Devin Booker on the ball. And that's why I have the Phoenix Suns really high on my list. If I had to redo the standings, like I said, I'm putting them over the Nuggets at 4 in the West. I think I put them at 6 underneath the Kings. But that is, like I said before, Tyus Jones. So if you guys haven't seen that video, go check it out, man. Shout out to Kenny. Kenny's the GOAT. For real. Like, I literally listen to Kenny all the time. Even our video, like, trust me. This man is smart. Him, and I used to listen to JJ Redick a lot too. So go tap in, man. Hit the like button, subscribe button. This is ZTAY. Peace.